Good afternoon. Today we're going to be talking about a market analysis that was done for Anheuser-Busch. The goal of this analysis was to identify opportunities in the craft beer market for Anheuser-Busch. We'll be talking about what kinds of beer are being produced, where are the beers being produced, is there a relationship between ABV and IBU, what market opportunities should be explored, and what future research could be done. Right here we have the states listed with the most breweries. No surprise, Colorado with their strong brew culture is on top, as well as a number of states with high populations, such as California, Michigan, Texas. Here are the states with the least breweries. Surprisingly, we have Wisconsin at the bottom, which is known for having a good beer culture. In our data set, there were some missing data values. ABV was mostly accounted for as well as style, while we were missing approximately 40% of the bitterness units data. So generally, looking at the beer statistics, we see that Colorado, California, Texas have a high number of breweries, as well as Michigan. In the bottom left, we've done an analysis of the number of breweries per million people in each state. There, surprisingly, we see standouts being Maine, Vermont, and North Dakota. The states with the highest populations are often our best target markets. Here we've done analysis of ABV by state. Interestingly enough, we see the states Colorado, California, and New York having very high ABV preference in terms of what is being brewed. This slide shows the international bitterness unit by state. Once again, we see that the states that have the high alcohol by volume units also have high bitterness. Colorado, California, and New York, and Florida especially, has very high bitterness preference. This map shows the ounces of beer that is sold in each state. We see most states prefer a 12-ounce beer, although there is a number that also would have a preference towards 16-ounce beers. This shows the alcohol by volume. We see that most beers are centered around 5.6%. Then we see the international bitterness unit. The median was 35, although we see a very high tail preference going beyond 100 units for bitter beers. This graph shows that there's really no relationship between the ounces of the beer and the bitterness. This chart, however, does show that there is a clear positive correlation between the alcohol by volume and the bitterness unit. But you see on the chart that there's actually kind of a missing area where there's not a lot of data points, and this would be represented by a low alcohol but high bitterness beer. We think that this is an opportunity for Anheuser-Busch to begin producing beers in this market. We look at the states that have the most brewing compared to the alcohol by volume, and we do see that there's a positive correlation, so that we think that the states that have a stronger beer culture often produce higher alcohol by volume beers. Doing the same comparison for bitterness, we don't see much of a correlation between the amount of beers that are being brewed in a state and the bitterness of the beers. So to summarize, California and Colorado have some of the most active brewing cultures. Brewing styles are trending towards higher bitterness. And we think that there's an excellent opportunity in the market for a high bitter but low alcohol by volume beer. More research should be done to analyze whether the consumers would be interested in a low alcohol, high bitterness beer. Thank you very much.